Buen dia, mi gente. Welcome back to my channel. It has been a minute since I have been on YouTube. I miss you all so much. And so I figured today I would do a get ready with me and we could just catch up on life and what's been going on. So let's start at the beginning and we'll go from there. Where do I even begin? I'm just gonna put a little lip gloss on to start. These lip glosses have been my ride or dies. These are the Edam Lip Softening Balms. Okay, once we started moving, I knew I needed to have just like, sorry, the dogs are fighting. Are you good? You okay? You can come sit over here. This is Brody, everybody. One of my regulars. You're okay. This little kit right here has held all of my go-to makeup for the past 3 months. Everything, whether it's an everyday look, whether it's a glam look, doesn't matter. This is from Dagny Dover. This is their large makeup kit. It's absolutely perfect. I'm not even kidding. I'll link it down below. So these are products that I vet. I've used them every day for months at this point. I'll link everything below if you're interested in any of these products, but let's actually get to chatting. Let me tell you right now, moving is not for the faint of heart. We moved into Boston. We moved into like a great spot, truly. Like when you think of home ownership, especially in this economy, my husband and I, we're really blessed. We worked really hard. We're really blessed. And we like just squeaked in to home ownership, really. And most of the moving did fall on me for a couple of reasons. The first being I have a little bit of a control issue. I knew it was going to be a lot and I worked really hard to create a color-coded system. I, bought bags and everything. And secondly, my husband is still in school. And so the course that he's taking this semester is extremely difficult. The course is finite element analysis. Yeah, I don't know. And so he had reached a point early on in the class where he was not doing well, he was not passing. And if he didn't pass, having just bought a home, we were not gonna have the money later on for him to retake the class. Mind you, one class is over $5,000 at the school he goes to, okay? Yeah, so I was like, you need to go study, you need to sit your ass down and you need to study, and I will just pack. Now that we're moved in, I think the hardest part wasn't even moving, truly. The hardest part was actually being here and everything that's just like come up since. My father-in-law passed at the beginning of this year also. That's been really hard and difficult for my husband naturally, but also it's the closest person to me that has passed, which is a real blessing in and of itself to not have to have experienced grief so closely like that before. And then on top of that, I started a new job. I don't know if you all are into astrology or whatnot, but from what I have picked up, I am entering a year 1 and it's the year of the horse, which means you are just diving into new ventures. You are charging forward and, just creating a steady, I don't know, I'm tired. I'm really, really tired. All of that to say, this year really just like threw everything at us very, very quickly. Okay, full transparency, I actually had 3 concealers in the past 3 months because I use them a lot. So the first one was the Kosas concealer. I threw that away. The second is the Hourglass concealer. This is in the shade Apricot. And then this is the L'Oreal Infallible Full Coverage Concealer. This is in the shade 360. Truthfully, this sort of cycle I feel happens to me every 5 years. 5 years ago, I was starting a new job. I had also started being a content creator, influencer, whatever you want to call it. My now husband and I had gotten engaged, so I was entering my bridal era. Like a lot of things were happening and transforming. However, home ownership is not for the weak. Let me tell you that. So we move into our condo. We are on cloud 9 because it's our first home. It's in the city we always wanted to be in. We closed on the home and we still had money in the bank. Like even after hiring movers, the closing, buying boxes, anything like that, like we still had money in the bank. Like we were in a really good position. And thank God, because we're not even in our home a week. And I think we were here maybe 2 days. We have in-unit washer and dryer, which is new for both of us. Probably the biggest selling point next to parking. And my husband does a load of laundry, and the washer starts leaking. So we're like, okay, it's a new appliance, you know, let's, you know, register the warranty. We go to register the warranty, it says the warranty is expired. Like, what do you mean? We just got here. What do you mean it's expired? Nobody else has lived here. We're the first people to live here. What do you mean it's expired? So we book an appointment with the repairman. It says it's gonna cost us a minimum of like $120 just to have them come out and assess what the issue is, and then we have to pay for whatever the issue is. And I'm like, okay, we're just diving right in at this point. Now, mind you, the new job that I have is hybrid. So I went from working completely remote to now having to be in office 2 to 3 days a week. I haven't commuted in like 5-6 years. So like mentally, physically, commuting to the office, thank God for me, like the office is actually pretty close, but it is draining. I just remember being like, how did I used to do this 5 days a week pre-COVID? So the repairman comes out, my husband and I are just really hoping for the best because we're like, please don't let this be anything serious. The repairman takes a look and he's like, oh, yeah, the water valve that screws in just wasn't put in correctly. So that's why it's been leaking. He tightened the valve and we're like, how much do we owe you for that? And he was like, no, nothing. I said, Gloria a Dios, Gloria a Dios, God is good, hallelujah. This Red Bull's really starting to hit you guys, this is great. So we're finally settling in. It's been a couple of weeks and we get our first electric bill. And when we had done estimates for everything, we knew our electric bill should be anywhere between like $30 to $60 max. Girl, tell me why I get an electric bill for $300. $300, $300, not pesos, not euros, dollars. I said, oh me, oh my, this is incorrect. My husband gets on the phone with our electric company and is like, hey, this is wrong. Like, this is actually inaccurate. And even our customer service rep was like, yeah, this is actually completely wrong. This is not correct. However, that is what is read from the meter at your place. So my husband and I, we go out, we read the meter. It says a similar number to what they gave us, because the electric company is saying, well, all the technician does is read the meter, send it, and then that's how we determine what to charge you. And then she proceeds to tell us that other units in our building have electric bills between $300 to $800 a month. Now you have to understand, at this point I'm concerned. I'm like, we need to sue. I don't care who we sue. I don't care if we sue the mayor. I don't care if we sue the developer. I don't care if we sue we need to sue. This is wrong. I'm not paying this. And so the electric company tells us, okay, you need to do a test, shut off electricity for 2 hours, see if the number changes drastically, if anything changes. If it does, then we can take it from there, we'll send somebody out. If it doesn't, then you may have to call in and pay for an electrician to do a diagnosis. Because my thing is, we are in between two businesses. And so my first thought when we got the bill was, one of these businesses is stealing electricity from us, or we are paying for electricity in the common areas of our building. So we shut electricity off. Numbers don't change. So then we're like, all right, what do we do? What do we do? That's the other part about this, is we are both new homeowners. We're like, what do we do, you know? And I grew up in a household where my dad could and did fix everything because that was his background. My father is a mechanic, he's an electrician, he's a software engineer. Like, I'm dead ass, I'm not joking. My dad could fix anything. And so one of the prides that I have in my adulthood is also being able to fix things. I can put things together, I can fix things for the most part, but home ownership just takes it to a new level, because there are issues here now that I'm like, I can't just call maintenance to come and figure it out. It's like, oh, I don't know how to fix this. This is beyond like what I'm capable of doing. And also, the one thing my dad told me when we bought our home is, he was like, do not with anything electrical. So we turn off the meter, that doesn't work. So naturally the next step is to call my dad and tell him what happens. Now I'm thinking he's gonna come out and take a look, because that's typically what he's done in the past. He said, don't you have a husband? I was gagged. I said, yes, and that's why I'm calling you. So my dad tells me, he's like, no, I'm not messing with your electric system. You have to call an electrician. And so that's where we are with that, right? And so we're waiting to do that. In the meantime, things finally start to settle down. I feel like I have finally found a good rhythm in my job. Josh is finally starting to do well in his class. Like, we unpacked so much. We still have boxes, but they're not everywhere at this point. Like, now there's just boxes in some corners. There's just some bags in some corners. So we've had to get creative. I did get to design my own closet from IKEA. Let me tell you something, I had never been to IKEA before. I went to IKEA like for the first time like 2 weeks ago. That is crazy. Like, how did I not know about this? I mean, thinking about it now, in college, I definitely had friends who had IKEA furniture, and even post-college, I'd be like, oh, that's cute, where'd you get that? And they're like, IKEA. But I just thought it was like a Jordan's Furniture type of situation, you know what I'm saying? That place is better. I didn't try any of the food. I didn't try food or anything because, you know, I gotta ease my way into that. But I was also like, damn, I wish I had checked it out sooner. So now we're at the point where it feels like we are starting to find our routines, getting a sense of normalcy again, because quite literally I've been living in chaos, on the go, out of bags for weeks. We moved for 8 weeks. I told my husband, I said, I'm not moving again. Me muero aquí, I'm gonna die here, and you can bury me here. Okay, I actually have 2 mascaras that I use. I'm gonna show you both. This is the Hourglass Unlocked Instant Extensions Mascara. This is a brown mascara, and this is what I use for work. Just a really deep, rich chocolate brown. And then I have the YSL Lash Latex. This is a black mascara, but the wand is actually super, super fine. I didn't think I was gonna like this, but just when I want a little bit more of a pop, you know what I'm saying? I'll use a black mascara. They actually sent this to me in PR. Can you believe it? I posted about that on Instagram like a little while ago. I was like, no, you did not. Who put me on YSL's PR list? Because I want to send you PR for getting me on that list. That's insane. Anyways, you know, you ever go through an experience that is a little bit of a financial lift? What happens? It's like, oh, things are finally getting back to normal after I've put in so much money into XYZ. Well, not only does my car start having problems, my husband's car starts having problems. So we were in the middle of moving and my husband gets in his car, won't start. Finally does get it to start and all of the lights on the dashboard are on. He takes it to get checked out. Would you believe that rats ate through his entire electrical system in the car? And thank God we moved, because the rats aren't here. The rats aren't in our new space. The rats were at our old place. That cost us $3,000. This is why you have savings. This is why you have savings. Now at the time I'm thinking, oh, okay, we've had our car problems. Now everything's gonna go back to normal. No. Mind you, my husband's car is newer than mine. I drive a 13-year-old Chevy. Even with gas prices increasing, a full tank of gas for me is still under $30. Listen, once I stopped having a car payment, I said, I am never gonna do this again. I will ride this car into the ground. I will Fred Flintstone this and pedal my way to work. I don't give a damn. And truthfully, my car has been good to me. In the 13 years I've had it, a couple of oil changes, changed the tires a couple times, had a fender bender, but truly didn't even need work. It just dented my license plate. When it comes to cars, I don't care. I don't care about name brand. I don't care about luxury amenities. I don't care about tires. I don't care about cars. It just needs to get me from A to B. Now keep in mind, I am now commuting more than I have been in the past 5 years. And I start to notice that my car is really loud. Like, I'm not even joking. Like, people are staring at me on the sidewalks when I'm driving. I'm doing like 30 miles an hour and my car is like dead ass. And on top of that, it's starting to have electrical issues where it won't unlock with the key fob. When I manually try to lock it or unlock it in the car, it spazzes out like unlock, lock, like it just spazzes. And so what I think is, oh, these electrical issues are the same thing that happened to my husband. Like, rats probably like got into my electrical system. So because I was having electrical issues, I take it to the dealer. I I know you're not supposed to take it to the dealer. I know that. But when it comes to electrical issues, I'm taking it to the dealer because I don't want somebody fucking around with my car. So I take it to the dealer and I tell them, listen, I tell them the electrical issues. I tell them about the noise. The next day I get a call from the dealer and they're like, yeah, it looks like we're gonna have to replace your exhaust pipe. I wrote everything down. Listen to this, because this was insane. The exhaust is leaking, and so they want to replace the exhaust pipe, the muffler, the entire thing. I have a headlight that's out and my car can't pass inspection because I needed an inspection sticker. The headlight's out, the license plate light is out, oil is leaking, and then 2 parts for my car were discontinued. The valve cover was discontinued for something, and then the microchip in my key fob was discontinued also. Now, the sales rep is just communicating to me what the technician told her, but she's still a sales rep. And so she's telling me, well, because the microchip is discontinued, that means that, what did she say? If that becomes compromised, the car won't start because the microchip is electronically recognized within the car when you use the key fob. And so she's telling me, yeah, like if you were to go to start it, like it could just randomly stop working. So if you wanted to come in and look at a couple other options that we have, and at first it's not registering for me because I'm writing everything down. I'm like, well, what are my options? And she's like, well, we could get you to look at a couple of like newer Chevys. We also have some like Chevy Equinoxes, and we could just take, and I'm like, bitch, you're trying to sell me on a new fucking car. I knew it. This is why you don't take it to the dealer. I fucking knew it. I said, look, I don't want to look at new options. What is this gonna cost me? What is the estimate? Almost $5,000. Escúchame bien. Listen, okay? I said, you know what? Don't do anything to the car. I said, don't touch it. I'm gonna come in on Monday, because this was on a Friday. I said, I'm gonna come in on Monday. What time does the technician get there? What time does this open? Because I wanna look at the exhaust myself, because I know from experience, from my father, from my brothers, that if the noise is just coming from a leak in the exhaust, you could just weld that shit, and then there's not a hole. And that is something that I know my father can do. So I hang up with the sales rep and I do the only other thing there is to do. I call my dad. I tell him what's going on. I'm like, listen, if it is just like a hole that you can weld, because I know they're not gonna weld it, is that something you could do? And you know what he tells me? He goes, don't you have a husband? Sir. So I go in on Monday to the dealership, and the sales lady I was talking to isn't there yet. I went in 7 a.m. Monday because I was like, nobody's touching my car. And so I'm talking to this other sales rep and I'm like, listen, I'm just here to pick up my car. I had called on Friday, I had spoken to so-and-so, let her know like I wanted to come look at the exhaust, but I just want to pick up my car. And he's like, okay, well, why don't you have a seat and I'll look into it. So I'm sitting in the waiting area and the guy comes back maybe 5 minutes later with a huge attitude all of a sudden. Like, if you've never seen a cockfight, typically what happens is the rooster, when they come out, they like puff their chest like this. I kid you not. The guy came in like this, like this, okay? I'm like, who are you fighting? Like, I see this app, I'm like, what is going on? And he comes over and he's like, yeah, we can't give you your car because according to the notes, you said that you just wanted to look at the exhaust. That's what she wrote in her notes. And then now you're coming in saying you just want to take your car. And now it's like two girls. He literally said, he was like, it's 2 girls saying 2 different things. And so I don't want to get in the middle of that, but we can't give you your car. And so I say to him back, I'm like, listen, I'm not getting any work done on my car. I don't care what she wrote in the notes. I'm here now and I want my car. And then he's like, well, you're saying one thing and she's saying something else, and like, I'm not getting in the middle of this. And I was like, what is this, high school? You're gonna make this like a sexist girl thing? I don't want work done on my car. I want my car. I have to go to work. And he's like, I don't care. You're just gonna have to sit here and wait until the technician gets here. And I was like, you know what? I don't wanna talk to you anymore. I wanna talk to a manager. And he's like, yeah, go ahead. The manager's over there. So I get up. At this point, I'm like, raise your voice to me again and I'm gonna throw hands. Like, and that's okay because I can fight and I have bail money. Arrest me, I don't care. And so I walk into the manager's office, very calm, very nice. I smile, I say, hi, I am here this morning. I explained the situation. I said, I'm happy to pay for the diagnostic. I would just like to take my car. And he's like, okay, just give me a couple minutes. Let me go figure this out. So he comes back a couple minutes later. He's like, okay, they haven't done any work on the car yet, but the technician doesn't get here till 8 a.m. Once they get here, they'll have to take it off the lift and you can take your car, that's fine. And I said, okay, great. Mind you, the sales rep I was talking to before is standing in the doorway and like acting like a child. He's like, well, you know, that's so-and-so's commission. That's her commission. I'm not gonna get in the middle of that. I'm not gonna. And the manager is like, just check them out. So we go sit back down, waiting to just pay for the diagnostic. And the little hoity-toity sales rep comes back and he's like, his voice is shaking, and he apologizes to my husband. He looks at my husband and he's like, oh, I'm sorry, you know, I just, it's, she's saying one thing and, you know, she's saying another thing, and, you know, that's somebody's commission, and like, you know, I don't really know what was said, and, you know, I don't really want to like get in the middle of that. My husband's like, yeah, you're just doing your job. When I tell you, the first thing, when I heard him say that, I said divorce. I said divorce. Anyways, we check out, I get my car. I ended up paying around like $130 just for the diagnostic, which was still helpful because now having a diagnostic, we could take my car to a mechanic, tell them exactly what the problem is, not have to pay for another diagnostic, and say, this is what we need done, which is exactly what we did. And it only cost me $1,000, and I got my car inspected. And so now that our cars are finally both repaired, it's really finally starting to feel like we have developed a sense of normalcy. Like we are just finally starting to settle into routine. And on top of that, we're also starting to figure out how we want to decorate the space. One thing I noticed immediately, like the first thing I noticed immediately upon moving, was a lot of the furniture that we had in our apartment did not match the aesthetic and the vibe that we wanted in our new home. Additionally, I still have to figure out a makeup vanity setup. I haven't bought a vanity. I haven't set up a vanity. I'm actually just sitting in the middle of the downstairs at the kitchen table with like those like influencer creator lights on right now, but it works, it works. I have missed you all immensely. Thank you so much for watching. If you are interested in any of the products that I used in this video, they're linked down below. And stay tuned next week because I do have another update. Besos.